Elizabeth McCormack, a former Black Hawk pilot, joins us now. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us. I'll start off by asking you the big question that's on everybody's mind is, realistically, how likely is it that these pilots could have simply just not seen this aircraft?
Well, it's extremely likely. It was behind them and above them. So being behind and above, even when air traffic control said, do you have the aircraft? They were looking at the aircraft that had just taken off. If you look at the video, you could see that aircraft in the foreground and the accident happened in the background. And they descended into it. So there's a couple things. One, they only had a crew of 3, which is a minimum crew. They ideally should have a crew of 4. The pilots can only see from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock on each side. From that 3 and 9 position back is the crew chiefs in the back. And the crew chiefs have a window and they open the window and stick their head out the window to see. They only had one crew chief. They could only see one side.
Okay. So this was essentially a blind spot, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people have been talking about the night vision goggles, whether the pilots were wearing them, whether they weren't. Would that have had any impact on this, do you think? Would it have made any difference?
No, because they would have still been looking forward and they wouldn't have seen the aircraft above and behind them.
I know that commercial aircraft have to use the TCAS system, collision avoidance system, and people have been asking that question today as well. Well, the airplane obviously had it, but do helicopters have to have this equipment on board as well, which can detect an incoming collision? Can you shed any light on that?
Absolutely. So I'm in a lot of pilot groups, and my female aviators group commented on that they fly the CRG, and they said that the TCAS is turned down and goes into a different mode below 1,000 feet because there's so much ground clutter. So it would not have worked, especially as it was in around 400 feet. It would not have worked. The Black Hawk, according to my knowledge, we usually fly nap of the earth and low all the time. As far as I know, we don't have that technology on board.
Now, I know you were saying, Elizabeth, that this plane aircraft was coming from behind the helicopter, but still, I mean, these are the best of the best. The experience level of these Black Hawk pilots, would that not be something that is just standard, kind of checking 360 all around, even if it's not there in your vision, that they would have some way, even with a reduced crew on board?
Yeah, I personally, I call for the Department of Defense to require for a minimum crew of 4, 2 pilots, 2 crew chiefs. So you on visual flights, so you have that full visibility of that 360. There is no way you're going to have that visibility without that 4th crew member.
And we've mentioned one piece of technology that's in commercial airlines which avoids this very thing. But can you tell us about maybe some of the other technologies that they have on Black Hawk aircraft and helicopters that might have been able to help with this situation?
Well, the biggest thing is that one of the errors that happened, so one is the crew not having sufficient crew. The second thing that happened is that they were flying too high. So flying along that corridor, they're supposed to be around 200 feet. But at night, whether they were on night vision goggles or not, there's a lot of ground clutter with the lighting and a lot of reflections of the lights on the water. So with that in mind, they could have very easily gotten a little disoriented and maybe rose up a little higher because they felt like they were too close to the water with that lighting, and so that attributed. It was a contributing factor, but not the only factor. And then the third thing would be air traffic control. Air traffic control said, "Do you have the CRJ?" Well, the CRJ was taking off. They probably had going this direction was the CRJ taking off, not the one coming into land behind them. And what air traffic control really should have said, and typically does, is, do you have the airliner, the CRJ, whatever terminology, do you have it at your 5 o'clock?
Yes.
If they had said 5 o'clock, the crew chief would have stuck his body or hers body out of the aircraft to visually confirm, and the aircraft could have maneuvered. That Black Hawk is maneuverable. The pilots are experienced. They could have gotten out of the way quickly. They can move on a dime. They could have gotten out quickly and been out of the way.
We'll have to wait for the results of the investigation from the NTSB and the FAA and the military. But until then, Elizabeth McCormick, former Black Hawk pilot, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.